They were always here. I just unlocked the door. Megan from Dog Soldiers is a character with a very interesting arc, and one we are going to take a look at today. When we first meet Megan, she is a saviour. She then becomes a potential love interest, shows she is capable of holding her own while surrounded by soldiers. She is heroic, smart, and has all the traits of a great protagonist, but then she becomes a traitor. Her actions in the later half of Dog Soldiers completely destroy any hope of escape for our main protagonists, and she goes from possibly becoming the lone heroic survivor to the insidious antagonist. In a film where we have a family of hungry werewolves on the hunt and a special forces captain that kills dogs, Megan does well to become one right bitch alongside them all. So let's take a look at the character, who she is, where she came from, how she is a werewolf, and how she becomes the big bad of the narrative. Megan studied a Bachelor of Science majoring in zoology at college. Then sometime after graduating, she heard stories from north of the border and went in search of evidence. She was fascinated at the possibility of something like a werewolf being true. Shortly after arriving in the Highlands, she found the evidence she was looking for. Megan then spent 2 years in the Highlands prior to meeting Cooper and the rest of his squaddies. Her first year is possibly spent tracking the werewolves and digging into the legend, while the second is probably spent being a prisoner with the UAFs after they turned her, either on purpose or accidentally. Megan claims that for a whole year she tracked the werewolves, studied them, tried to understand them. She also claims that during her year of tracking the UAF family that at least 15 people had vanished, mostly hikers, in small groups or alone. When she is chatting to Cooper and the squad, she does lie about never witnessing the actual slaughter, as she has probably been part of at least a few hunts. She may have even been forced to eat the human stew that we see Terry tuck into. At this point in the film, she is trying to keep her curse a secret from Cooper and the others, as she seems to believe there is a chance of them saving her. Since Megan is well educated and has done her own research into the werewolf folklore, I reckon she might believe some of the old tales about how the curse can be broken. One in particular is that if you kill the leader of the pack, the alpha, every werewolf under them or turned by them will be freed from the curse. Maybe this is what Megan believed to be true and thought that Cooper and the others could achieve this, thus freeing her. So at some point during Megan's Highland expedition, she meets the UAFs. Being their closest neighbour, they became friends. I wonder if she was turned by choice or forcibly or by total accident. Personally, I feel that the UAFs would have turned her forcibly and made her part of their pack. Megan may have had a relationship with one of them, and the only way to maintain it was to become one of them. Or it was a mistake, and one night when she was tracking them, she was bitten or scratched and narrowly escaped. Maybe the UAFs were able to hold back their urge to devour her, as they recognised her as a friend. We do see the UAFs hold themselves back from eating Sam, their farm dog, so that does indicate they still have some sort of human brain functions while in werewolf form. Either way, Megan became one of them and became part of this fucked up family, one that she clearly did not want to be part of. During Captain Ryan's first expedition to the Highlands to capture a werewolf for the Special Weapons Division, Megan is part of his team as a local liaison, someone who can help them understand the werewolves and the terrain. However, Ryan's first trip is an unsuccessful one. They do not come back with any werewolves. Megan at this point may have still been human and really trying to find the werewolves with them, or she could have been turned and leading Ryan and his team in the wrong direction. Megan may have found out that Ryan and his team wanted to take the werewolves and study them, use them as weapons, so she hindered their search. Possibly when she seen that Ryan and his team had returned, tooled up with tranquilizer darts and nets, she told the UAFs and they attacked the team, taking them all out and turning Ryan in the process. As we hear Ryan say, there was only supposed to be one. This was most likely misinformation from Megan. She has been misleading people far longer than just what we have seen from the events of Dog Soldiers. The night after the attack on Ryan's camp, Megan somehow manages to suppress her transformation. It is never explained how this is possible. Maybe, as she has fed the night before, she didn't need to turn the next night, and the UFs only turned because they enjoy the hunt and enjoy being werewolves. I think that's pretty clear from the human stew in their house and the bodies in their basement. They like being werewolves and thrive being them, whereas Megan has no intention of staying one. So eventually this leads Megan to seeking an out, and one arrives the night after the attack on Ryan's camp. Another army squad shows up. Megan seeks out the gunshots and comes across Cooper and the squad in her jeep. Then the rest of the events of Dog Soldiers unfold. Throughout most of the siege on the UAF cottage, she is always on the soldiers' side. She fights and survives alongside them. There is a moment though where Terry is taken from the window and Megan cuts her hand, where we see her look out into the night and listen to the screams of Terry. She almost looks disappointed, as if she's missing out on something. Maybe she is feeling the urge to join in the hunt and the feast and switch sides, but she manages to snap out of it. Also, I see lots of people ask, what was the meaning behind her hand bleeding? Well, this was meant to show that in their human form, the werewolves were vulnerable and could be killed. In early forms of the script, it was Cooper's plan to kill the UFs in the morning when they turned back into their human forms, and it would be possible as they were not immortal. But this was eventually changed during filming. It's just that the cut hand scene was never reshot, probably because of budgetary reasons. I like to look at it as Megan looking at the blood and feeling a thirst for it. Even though that's more a vampire thing, she's feeling hungry and urges to turn and devour the whole squad, but she's having to fight it. Also, I'm pretty sure her hand heals pretty quick. We don't see it again throughout the night, so it could have been a little hint to her being a werewolf. One other cool moment we see between her and the UFs is when she plays Claire de Lune on the piano, and we see the UFs outside howling as she plays. This is obviously a little nod to her past with the UFs, probably a song she has played for them a lot where they listen along as a family in human form, but now they are outside howling for her to join them. Megan eventually reaches a point in the night where she realises that these soldiers are not here to help at all, and there is no way out for them now, and in return, no way out for her. They were always here, I just unlocked the door. Megan gets the soldiers to blow up their only mode of transport in an ill attempt to take out the pack, and now that there is no chance of escape, Megan lets the werewolves in and reveals herself to Cooper and the others. It's that time of the month. As Megan begins to change, Sarge shoots her in the eye, which throws her back, and at first we think we have seen the last of Megan, but we haven't. As I said earlier, the werewolves being vulnerable in human form was changed, and Megan's regenerative abilities obviously kicked in as she transformed and began attacking alongside the UFs. We see her again in werewolf form as she smacks the lighter out of Sarge's hand before he turns on the cooker and blows up the farmhouse. It is also actually Megan who snarls at Sam in the kitchen. If none of you have noticed that before, you can tell it's her because the eye is missing on the werewolf's head. Megan's arc and story in full is quite a tragic one, even though we never got the full picture. A young student with a passion for wildlife comes to find out if there is any truth behind the folklore, and finds out all too well that there is. She is then thrust into a world of nightmare as she becomes one of the monsters she was researching and studying. She never wanted the curse and didn't want to run with the pack, but in the end she always had to. Like for many of the soldiers, for her there was no way out. I really think Megan was one of the more interesting characters in Dog Soldiers, and one I'd love to see a prequel about, with her meeting the US for the first time and learning about their werewolf side. I think that would be an awesome thing to explore. The first time I watched the film, her betrayal shocked me and I was pretty sad, as I would have loved to have seen her restore Cooper's lost faith in women and survive alongside him and Sam, but that wasn't to be. Megan couldn't break away from the pack and will now run with the US forever, wherever they may be now. I really hope you enjoyed this exploration into the character of Megan, and if you have anything to add or anything at all about Dog Soldiers you would like to share, then please do in the comment section down below. For such a small film, it's become an awesome cult classic and has so many things to speculate about. If there is anything else you want covered, please just let me know. I just love talking about Dog Soldiers. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like, and if you haven't already, then what are you doing? Subscribe to join the club. As always, thank you very much for watching, and good night.